So I found myself with similar situations where I had bought a dog and I bred the dog to almost about 10 different females and then no puppies. And I'm talking back in the 2000s. And then I remembered, oh, I'm actually a doctor, so I should do what we do for humans. So I actually got the dog to a lab and had the semen taken and checked for us to find out that there was zero semen. It's not a case of the semen was low or not mobile or abnormal. Like, there was no semen. Semen was zero, 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 zero. You know, so I did everything we could with the help of the vet. The test was taken, some bacteria was noticed. We tried to treat the bacteria, gave vitamins, you know, but nothing happened. And we're able to contact the breeder back, who was grateful to send us a replacement, but we had to pay for shipping, you know. But over the years, that has always made us do a semen analysis on our males, a minimum of every 8 weeks. We do the semen check just to make sure that it's optimum at all times. And just in case anything is about to go wrong, we can pick it. Because the truth about it is, it's always easier when it's a bit low to quickly try and fix it and get it up than when the semen is completely out. So it's important to note that for us, what we advise is always do a semen analysis every 8 weeks to pick the condition of the semen. So as soon as it's depreciating, you can easily pick it up. If there's bacteria, use the most effective antibiotics from the report. If it's a situation whereby it's some slow, immotile semen, you could use the same responding vitamins that would sort that out, in the place of what the vets usually advise is some, okay, I'm not a vet, so I never like to talk about drugs, but a vet will be able to give you that information. And then outside of medication, I once had a breeder tell me that all his boar bulls have bad semen, and he had about 5 males. And I told him it wasn't possible, that there was definitely something environmental. And I told him to tell me about his kennel, and he started to talk about his kennel, and I realized that all his dogs were actually facing the sun. So the temperature was pretty high, and what he had told me was that every time he goes, I asked him about the dogs, that does he ever get to the kennel and their mouths are shut? He says, oh, never, that they're always panting heavily. And then I asked him, what direction is the sun? He says, oh, the sun is directly facing the dogs, you know? And I said, no, you won't have any semen. Hey, it's okay in those males, because the dogs are going to always have high temperature and it's going to destroy all the semen in the dog. So immediately I gave him that information. He reoriented the dogs, changed their positioning, and in 3 months, all the dogs were fertile again. So before you rule out a dog to say a dog is infertile, you actually want to do a couple of tests, check out the environmental factors. So it's important to note that when you cook, please, everybody listen, because a lot of people give their dogs cooked food. When you give cooked food, you cannot just but not give vitamins. And not just vitamins, but very good vitamins. Because the food you are given, due to the heat, most of the vitamins have been denatured. Most of the vitamins have been left rendered useless. So the external vitamins you give them is what's going to cover up for it. But if you give very good quality dry food, like I tell most people, the dogs I feed with dry food, I don't bother giving them vitamins, because I trust the quality of the dry food and the vitamins that is said that is attached to it. So for the females, I believe in testing. And when you get your test right, we do progesterone. and you get a dog whose semen is good to breed to the female, and she's well fed, and the conditions surrounding her are good with a lot of love all through the 64 days on the average of pregnancy, many times you have good success. I've seen some cases whereby they just don't click. And one of the things I've realized in this part of the world is many dogs have a situation where they're breeding their dog. The dog had ticks for so long, but once pregnancy sets in, there's a depreciation in immunity. So the ticks that had bitten the dog that should have caused some heavy tick fever all along does not start to set in until the dog is pregnant. So while the dog is pregnant, the dog has tick fever. And when the dog has tick fever, what's going to happen? It's going to destroy the pregnancy. That's why sometimes you see some dogs coming from their vulva, some blacky stuff when their temperatures are high. So I always recommend people to make sure you clear your dogs, from all parasites before breeding the dog. And some dogs also have a very high bacteria count, which is as a result of the fact that their vulvas are open, they sit on the floor. So just before breeding, it's always good to do a bacteria count test, a swab, find out whatever bacteria are active and in high proportions, and use the corresponding antibiotics advised by your vet doctor to get the dog cleaned. I mean, if you carry out this routinely, you should have some good success. And above all, I always tell people, I believe in a book called the Bible. The Bible says that the fruit of the womb is a reward from God. For human beings and for animals, it's a reward from God. So the God factor is inevitable. I tell people breeding is very spiritual because it's only God that has the ability to give children. The same way some people believe some deities are contending with them not to have kids, it's the same way they can contend with your dogs. So you need to be close to the person who gives children. Is the same person who gives puppies. You need to be close to him, make your ways right with him, and you would have good success. If your hands are clean and you commit your ways onto him, I don't see any reason why you shouldn't have the results you desire.